Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new entitled people content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled, You Want It All, for Free? About 10 years ago I had a metal working project with 2-1/2 inch stainless steel tubing, and when it was done I had several feet left, made a walkway guard rail and some other stuff, including some large garden arches with plant shelves for my wife. The wife posts them on Facebook, and random woman shows up wanting to borrow one for a wedding arch. We don't know her, she saw the pictures and contacted my wife about them, and my wife told her they were too big to move around, but she showed up anyway. First it's borrow, and I tell her they are too large for a pickup truck, and being stainless they are quite heavy, took a forklift to put them in place, and they are anchored to the ground. She says she can get someone to pick one up, then wants me to get a forklift to load it. Nope, I have to cut it loose from its anchors, and re-weld it when it gets back, and I never intended to move it. I have to move large landscaping stone blocks just to get to it. She's not having any of it, she must have that arch, or it will ruin her baby's wedding. Then she wants me to paint it white. The point of stainless is you don't have to paint it. Ever. And it's a pain in the butt to sand, prep, prime, paint polished stainless, and afterwards the stainless will need the sanding scratches polished out again, which I'm not about to do. So, hard no. Begging, tears, accusations of permanently damaging her daughter, screaming. My wife tells her she can have one made, cost is about $4,400, and have it painted someplace else. But she doesn't want to pay for the arch, we are supposed to lend it for free. Crazy lady goes dark for about 2 weeks. Then I get a call from my wife. Crazy lady is in the driveway with other people. A pickup truck, which the arch won't fit into, and the county sheriff. She's holding a receipt for the arches. Both, with a sale price of $200, which was obviously home printed. No business name, no business or home address, no signatures, and is expecting the deputy sheriff to enforce. Deputy lives about 2 miles up the road and I've known him 30 years. Her family, friends are all arguing aggressively with my wife. The deputy is in between, and crazy lady is screaming. I told the deputy what had went on, then he talked to my wife while I held the entitled nut jobs off, and the deputy finally kicked them off the property with the help of 2 more deputies. The first had to call in for backup. I can't tell you how the wedding went, but it wasn't under my wife's arches. Nope. I'm not moving 4,000-pound stone blocks, tearing up my yard, getting a cutting torch to cut the arches loose, getting my fork truck from my shop out to my home, and back again, and reversing the process to lend the arches to anyone. As a side note, she did give ideas to some friends. There have been 2 sets of wedding pictures under the arches, but the arches stayed right where I put them, and no crazy momzillas involved. The next story is titled, Never Touch Your Truck Again. You Got It Neighbor. I, 59 male, live in a major city in Ontario, Canada. I live in a small subdivision and have 5 neighbors total on my street. For the past few years during the winter when we're getting a lot of snow or a bad storms, as I'm leaving for my overnight shift at around 8 to 9 p.m. I'll put my wife's windshield wipers up on her car and do a quick walk around to my other 5 neighbors and put their windshield wipers up on their cars. Obviously not if they're outside or something, but if it looks like they're in for the night. Many of them forget to do this, as many of them have children and it typically slips their mind, and their wipers will be frozen to their car in the morning. It's just something nice I like to do to look out for my neighbors. They're all always grateful of this and thank me for it. Many of them started doing it too, and there will be nights where I'll forget to put mine and my wife's up, and in the morning one of the neighbors has done it for us. Anyway, recently one of our neighbors moved and a new family moved in as of last week. It's a young couple and their 2 young children. The other night I was leaving for my overnight shift at around 9 p.m. It was snowing really heavy, and we were supposed to be getting almost 30 centimeters of snow and it was freezing out. So, I put my wife's wipers up and do my usual quick walk around to the other neighbors. I was hesitant when I reached my new neighbor's house, as I've only introduced myself once, but did it anyway. As I was putting the second wiper up on their pickup truck, the husband came charging out of his front door yelling, "Hey, what the duck are you doing to my truck?" I tried to explain to him I was just putting his wipers up to help him. He continued to scream at me to get the hell off my property and don't touch my shit again. The wife then came out and started yelling at me too. I apologized and started walking away. Some of my other neighbors heard the commotion and came outside to see what was happening. They tried explaining to him too that it's just something we do. Both of them wasn't having it. Fast forward to this morning, I'm arriving home from my overnight shift, and as I'm walking in I see the wife of this couple struggling outside to break the ice off the windshield wipers of the truck. Guess she was trying to take her kids to school and the wipers were frozen solid on the car. She sees me and yells over, "Hey there. Do you mind giving me a hand please?" I look over to her and yell back, "No sorry. Thought I was to never touch your shit again ma'am," and walked back inside. She yelled back at me, "Wow a-hole. Told my wife about this, she thinks I should have helped her because she was just trying to get her kids to school." I disagree as I was just following what they told me. The next story is titled, "An entitled restaurant customer asked me to turn off a commercial fishing truck." I've worked at a restaurant that overlooks the ocean with a deck and patio people can eat on, which are very popular because of the harbor view, for a few years, and this occurred a couple of years ago when I was 17. The restaurant is directly next to a fishing company's dock where they load their catch into a truck, and since that truck is the refrigeration for the fish until they get it to their store, it has to keep running. It sounds like a slightly louder version of an idling car, and personally, I don't see it as that much of a problem and most customers just ignore it. When people have an issue with it, and we tell them it's a separate company and we can't do anything about it, they either opt to sit inside or decide to move on and enjoy the view outside despite the noise. However, there are of course some a-hole exceptions, and this is just one of them. One day when I was hostessing and the truck was running, I sat a man and woman outside, and they were displeased with the truck. Our conversation went something like this. "Man. How long will the truck be on?" Me. "I'm not sure as it is not our truck, and I don't know how much they have to load today. I'm very sorry for the inconvenience, and if the noise is a problem I understand and can get you a table inside." Man. "No, we want to be outside. Will they turn it off for us?" Me. "No, unfortunately, they have to keep it on to keep the fish cold, so they will not turn it off." Man. "Well, will you do it?" Me. "Like me personally turn the truck off?" Man. "Yeah, the door is open, just go in and turn it off." Me. "I don't even have a driver's license, so I am in no way authorized to operate a commercial truck, so you can sit here with the truck or sit inside." Man. "Okay, we can sit here." This guy thought it was a reasonable request for me to leave my place of work mid-shift, hop into another company's truck, and potentially spoil all of their fish just so he and his date could eat exactly where they wanted to without the noise. I love the entitled stupidity that comes from working in the service industry in a very wealthy town, as this man is on the milder end, and the comedy that goes down over clam chowder and wait times is truly unmatched. The next story is titled, "Oh, you just cleaned the house because you're the only one that does it? We'll clean up too." Context. My friends and I house shared with the worst people ever, a couple. They were loud, messy, gross, they shouted and swore all day and night, they took priority over all communal spaces and made it seem like we weren't welcome in our own home. They also stole from us constantly. Here's the kicker, despite all that, they were very strict on house rules, for us obviously, not them. We would get screamed at if we made any noise whilst they were sleeping. But they could stomp around the house, shouting and swearing, slamming all the doors at 3 a.m. as much as they like. Obviously, the house wasn't this clean, crisp, haven of peace. It was an 8-person student house, so you can expect a bit of noise and mess. We tried explaining to them that if they can leave their dishes to rot and mold in the kitchen, we could maybe get a bit slacker with what we were allowed to do. If we left a cup next to the sink overnight, they would break it. They would try to paint this picture of us being these horrible, messy and inconsiderate housemates. We were literally too scared to leave our rooms and lived off takeaway for months, so we didn't make any mess. We did everything, the cleaning of the whole house, the bins, cleaning up their mess, etc. as mentioned above. We stayed in our rooms and would go to each other's rooms and didn't cook in the kitchen or go downstairs for anything. So, when we stopped cleaning the downstairs, we were never down there, so no mess was ours. It started to get messy from their own doing. Empty drink bottles everywhere, cushions thrown around, rubbish all over the floor. One of them decides to tidy their own mess. Before they both left for a few days, we were finally able to relax and chill downstairs. We didn't feel anxious anymore. We went out, they didn't let us leave the house without them. All brilliant and good. Until we get a text message. "Can we make sure to keep the house tidy as I've just cleaned all of downstairs as it was so messy?" Quote, This text changed something in me. I don't know if it was the acting like cleaning up your own mess as this amazing favor. Or acting like it wasn't her and her boyfriend's mess she cleaned up, and us disgusting little rats would mess up her beautiful cleaning job instantly. So, I decided to clean. I picked up everything in the living room and kitchen that belonged to them and put it in nice big pile, over their personal hob. They were only allowed to use the fancy hob. When I say everything, I mean everything. Bits of their rubbish, their moldy mugs and plates that had insects on them. The man had a whole countertop dedicated to empty spice containers. I wasn't allowed my cup with my cutlery in it on the counter. When they found the pile, they asked me why I didn't throw out the rubbish. I said something along the lines of, "You said you cleaned these rooms, so I assumed you wanted to keep the moldy wrappers since they've been here weeks." I honestly just wanted to show them that they also make mess too. A lot more than anyone else here, also that her impeccable cleaning missed a few spots. The next story is titled, "Woman steals nearly $100 worth of stuff less than 1 foot from my face and gets mad when I call her out." Hello everyone. This happened a few days ago at the smoke shop I work at. I am also an assistant manager there for context. I'm in the back office prepping a return when my manager points my attention to an obviously suspicious person in our store. She was wearing a coat 3 sizes too big, bright red, and it was not even that cold outside. I turn around and she's crouched down behind the back room door looking at the vape clearance rack. The back room door is one of those swing doors and not a real one, so I just watched her as she did this, oblivious to my presence. When she walks away from the rack I go to the counter. I see her take a value pack of vapes we had left over for Christmas and walks to the other side of the store with it. We never saw that again. Then she walks back to the register, presses her body against an end cap and is very loudly opening one of the vapes. It came in this plastic wrap around it, so it was extremely loud and she's less than a foot from my face and I'm making eye contact basically with her as she does this. She walks back and forth a bit, and while she's walking around all of the vapes are in full view in her giant coat pockets. I'm texting my manager who's in the office watching the cameras about everything. She finally comes to the register again, purchase a $2 CBD gummy when I call her out about the vapes in her pocket and if she intends to buy those too. She starts acting innocent until my manager comes out and notices them too and is questioning her about it. She tried to say she bought them the day before, to which my boss says, "Okay, great, we can check the inventory then to see if they were purchased." She starts getting defensive about it and screaming at my boss as we prove to her there is no way she bought those, and all 3 of us, another coworker being the third, saw her doing this in plain sight. She starts to walk away, and we call the police as we cannot physically restrain or keep people there, and we get the license plate of the car and tell the operators that, well, they caught her. The dumbass also had her friend drive there and they were oblivious to what his friend did when the cops called him. They tracked his license plate. Don't know what happened after that, but we are almost positive she went to jail or is going to because my manager requested to press charges. The last story is titled, "That's one way to get rid of an overstayer." So let me give you a funny story of how my family got rid of someone who overstayed his welcome every year. So, I have an uncle, he's not by blood, he's by marriage. He's entitled and his favorite go-to line is, "But we're family." He says it's so calm and so precise. From what I know, he was a truck driver until he tweaked his back. So, he can't do long hauls anymore or such. He started living off his pension, his social security and then my aunt's social security. Years prior to the event my family would do large Thanksgiving celebrations. My uncle and his wife would travel in some kind of tiny camper RV to us. My uncle in previous years has had some rather bad habits no one cared for and still did. 1. He had a drinking problem. Now no one in my family against it. No issue, but when you drink to excess and either party when there's no party or piss off everyone in the room, you're gonna answer to my dad. My uncle did both. He'd get drunk, dance party without music and then make comments that rubbed everyone the wrong way. He'd say, "It's just between us family." 2. After getting drunk or wanting to get more wasted, then he'd call his buddies he knew in town. He used to live here in my town, and they'd go off and hit the local bars. After a few weeks after my uncle got home, his buddies would come by looking for him and the bar tab he left behind. We get pestered every day for the money. His answer to us, "Pay it off for me, we're family." 3. His obsession and sleeping arrangement. He was a die-hard NASCAR fan. We're talking eat, breath, lived it. Every wall in his home, everything he wore, everything he ate on or drank in. We're talking movie libraries and VHS recordings. He DVR'd any event he watched and missed. So while we all wanted to watch the Turkey Bowl, Thanksgiving football, he'd try to take over the TV to watch NASCAR replays, reruns, you name it. If he got outvoted, he'd play them after. His sleeping was another issue. He picks my dad's comfy chair, sleep in it while NASCAR roared from the TV full blasting as his white noise. He once even maxed out the speakers and soundbar. 4. The biggest, he overstayed. He stayed 2, sometimes 3 weeks. The week of Thanksgiving and the week after, and maybe one more for good measure. Saying he can't make the trip, or that he made plans locally, or that he wanted to spend time with my aunt. Yeah, he left her to hang out with us. He'd go to party. By the way, my aunt is the nicest ever. We decided that we wanted to make him want to leave. How you ask? Mom in the year 2011-12. Who cares? Decides the easiest way was through salsa. Mom had 3 bowls of salsa set out, 2 for the family, 1 specifically for Uncle. What made his special? Ghost pepper salsa. It looked like Mom's regular, but we knew the special Uncle bowl. So, we all gather around my uncle, we'd eat our regular salsa. Meanwhile, we made sure that Uncle had his bowl isolated to himself. He doesn't feel anything for the first 2 bites, and we are encouraging him to eat more. Him, half drunk, doesn't realize he's the only one eating out of that bowl. You ever watch those old Looney Tunes cartoons when fire is spouting from someone's mouth? That's my uncle. You can't get rid of that heat with beer, nor water, you gotta grab milk. Sorry uncle, we don't have any, nor offered. He was burning for the evening. Every Thanksgiving after, as soon as he gets a whiff of that ghost pepper salsa, he turns to his wife and says, "Hey folks, it's been a good visit, but we gotta go back home. Thank you for listening."